Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to episode 20 of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Good morning. All that good stuff. I can't believe it, guys, but we are in July already. And this is our first episode in the month of July. We have entered the third quarter of 2020. And, you know, I am a big proponent. As you guys, I don't remember. I do remember. I'm hoping that you remember, that, what we talked about in my first episode. I gave you a little backstory of when I got into business. And if you recall, one of my things is that I was not a regular entrepreneur. I never had my own business. No one in my family has ever had a business. So I was kind of a pioneer in that realm. So it wasn't a natural thing for me to do any of the stuff that I'm doing now. But I've come a long way and I've learned a lot of things. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is it's going to be a little bit different from what we normally talk about on the show. We normally talk about some marketing strategies, some, mostly digital marketing strategies, some things that's going to help you boost your business and everything like that. Well, today, this is more of a business strategy, something that I learned on my path in terms of making sure that my business is always moving forward. So today's topic, I'm going to title it as 8 Steps to Performing a Mid-Year Goal Check. Because we're mid-year, I figured it would be a good time to talk about this right now. And, next week we'll get back into the regular programming, but I wanted to at least share some nuggets that I've learned along the way when it comes to goal setting and all of that happy stuff. Before we get to all of that, first I want to say, as always, if you guys have a topic that you are screaming for me to discuss, or maybe you've heard in your walks or out there, or if you've seen videos on it and you want my opinion on a topic, whether it be pay-per-click marketing, whether it be SEO, whether it be Facebook marketing, whatever that is, email marketing, simply go to my website, www.lbmsllc.com/contact us. And, just let us know. And we'll incorporate any topics that you guys want to hear. Again, I do this because I love digital marketing. I love marketing. And the other reason I do it is because of you. So that's actually the main reason I do is because of you, because I like to level the playing field with the smaller businesses out there, the local businesses, with their larger counterparts. I think small business is the cornerstone of America. We have taken a huge hit during this crazy year of 2020. But there were tactics that we can always use to make sure that we're on top of our game at all times. And that's what I like to bring in this program for you guys, in this podcast. That's what it's all about, really. Another thing I want you to remind you of, a lot of stuff that I talk about on the show are all part of my book, 7 Steps to Recession Proofing Your Business. And, I have a link for it on the show notes. So if you guys want to check that out, it's totally free. Just have to pay for shipping, and that's it. Okay. Now that is done, I'd like to start talking to you about goals in general and how it helped me in my path. When I was working in corporate America, I remember distinctively that my department head every year used to have a goal setting session with his department leaders, and I was one of his department leaders. Excuse me as I sip on my coffee this morning. Good stuff. Anywho, so we always used to have it, and I remember hating those things. I was always an action taken type of guy. I was always a person that always was looking into taking action. And to me, sitting in a room with my peers, because my boss had 4 department heads. So it was me and 3 other department leaders. And, so those were my peers. And we would always go for goals. And he wanted us to do goals for our department. What kind of goals? What should we do this year? How can we improve? What are we going to ask for in terms of money from corporate, and et cetera, and how are we going to do that? It was something that I hated so much. And we would always, because our fiscal year for that company was in April 1st was the fiscal year. So we would always do it in, I think it was February, because it was February, because I remember it was always around Valentine's Day. So we would always have our goal setting for the next year. So we would do it in February, and then in April we would know, usually late March we would know what we were approved for or not. So that was the process there. But I don't do fiscal years. I mean, I know some companies do. My whole thing is I do calendar year. So now I do with my mastermind group, my elite mastermind group. Every November we get together and we set goals for the following year. Because again, we don't do fiscal year, we do calendar year. So, coffee's awesome. Anyway, sorry guys. It's early in the morning here, so I like to get these podcasts out early. Anywho, so and that's so now the funny thing about what I was talking to you is it was something I disliked so much in February every year that my department, my boss had all his department heads do. Now it's something that I cherish and I love and I look forward to. And as a matter of fact, I can't even wait till this November so I can plan out 2021, And we do this every year, and it's something that's great. And I want to share with you. I'm not going to share with you a goal setting process. I mean, I can do that in another show. This is more of a mid-year goal check. In 8 steps that I do internally here at LBMS, just to see where are we, and we because the worst time to do this is when you do when you regularly do your goals for the next year. You don't want to do a goal check at that point. At that point, it's too late. There's nothing you can do. So you always want to do a mid-year goal check, is my point. And that's why I want to bring forth this, so you can hopefully get this into a habit. So basically, so think about it. Now that we're in mid-year, this is a good time to review the goals that you and your company set at the beginning of the year. You got to ask yourself questions. When you're doing this mid-year goal check, you have to ask questions like, has your company reached some goals but abandoned others? because that's going to happen. Ask yourself, have you gotten off track with any of the goals that you set? Which is possible. I mean, if you did any goal settings at all at the end of last year for this year, no one in their right mind thought that COVID was going to hit. So have you gotten off track? Most likely all of us have, right? Another thing you want to ask yourself, has your company made any progress on long-term goals? Because long-term goals sometimes just take a time to get to fruition. So it's a good time in mid-year to check, where are we with that? Are we on point? Are we slowing down, et cetera, et cetera? See, now that that the glow of the new year is long gone. I mean, it's because, everyone's always talking about, it's a brand new year, blah, blah, blah. So now it's long gone. This is the time to assess if your company's 2020 goals were feasible, or if you were caught up in the promise of, sweeping the change that January 1st often brings, because everybody is, caught up into, New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. No, you don't want to do that. You want to set goals that are realistic. And so you want to do this goal check. And this is what helps you get better at goal setting. You know what I'm saying? So you want to sit down. If you have a team, you want to sit down with your team. Or if you're a solopreneur, sit down with yourself. Or what I like to do, I have a team, and I do sit down with my team after I sit down with my mastermind group. So build a mastermind group. Sit down with your mastermind group and review both your business plan and the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the year. Okay? Which goals have you met? Which goals are you there on their way to being met? Which goals have you yet to address? Let's see. Are you tracking? Are you on track to meet your marketing, sales, partnerships, and product creation goals, or systems creation goals, or service offering creation goals? These are questions that you have to ask yourself. I remember before I go through my 8-step process of doing a goal check mid-year, I'm going to share a small story with you. And, forewarning, this episode may be a little longer than my normal episodes. Excuse me as I take another sip of my coffee. Wonderful. Anyway, I want to share with you a story with a client of mine that I had. I want to say he's still my client. He's down in D.C. He's a fairly large. Well, it's not that large of a law firm. They're about the three partners are the names on the that's in the lobby, but they have like maybe 8 lawyers. So they're not that small, but not that large either. But I remember sitting down with the head lawyer, the head attorney, and their firm offered mostly family law. They did a lot of employment law, workman's comp. They did, real estate law, that kind of stuff. They did corporate law. As a matter of fact, they started out as a corporate law firm, and they branched out into those other things as they walked in. And I remember this was back in 2013. I remember him wanting to set a goal to then get into the realm of personal injury. And then he wanted to see what kind of demand was out there. He hired us and as a matter of fact, that's how he hired us. He hired us because he wanted to, get into personal injury, and he wanted to know if there was a demand out there. So he wanted us to do some research, et cetera, and we did, and we saw the demand. Now he launched a program to do personal injury in 2014, because this is 2013 when we got started with him. So things like that. So are you on track to launch a new service that you're going to offer? So that's what we got to do. So let's get into the steps that I take, and I would encourage you, as always, before I start, if you don't have a pen and paper ready, have it right now. If you haven't done so already, download this episode, keep it on your iPad or on your phone, and listen to it later and take notes at that point, because this is something that the big boys do. Remember, if my whole mantra is leveling the playing field with your bigger businesses, just taking a little bite out of that pie that they're having. And the way to do that is to do the things that successful businesses do or bigger businesses do. And even if you don't get to that level that they are, your practices will have you grow exponentially, just organically. So this is a practice that I know that big corporations do. Why? Because just like I told you, when I used to work in corporate, we used to do this all the time. And, but back then it was from department to department. And I'm sure that at the grander scale, I mean, we're talking about a $2 billion company. At a grander scale, I'm sure they did it at a corporate level, and we used to do it on a mini level. So that kind of stuff helped me know the importance of goal, even if I didn't do it, even if I didn't like it, the importance of it. So without further ado, sorry for digressing, folks. I just wanted to point out a few things. I'm going to take you to step 1 of this review process or check-in process. I call it review goals. So step 1 is review goals. So objectively assess if your actual work tasks and goals are in alignment. So what that means, obviously, you know what that means, but just double check. Hey, I said I was going to do this. I'm in mid-year now. Are they aligned? Some of these goals might have been met already. So did your employees, if you have employees, or did the people who you work with, your 1099s, if you're a solopreneur, whatever, did they contribute the appropriate amount of effort to reach the goals? Very important. You got to analyze all this stuff. Ask yourself, was the work targeted enough to reach the goals? Because remember, some goals by their very nature take longer to achieve. So it is, it's important to review your progress from time to time to make sure that you are actually moving forward and not just going around in circles, because sometimes we do that. We go around in circles and circles and circles and circles and circles, and we think we're moving, but we're really not, So another thing you want to do with this process inside this review goals, you want to set mini objectives at various intervals to keep you on the path to your larger goals. I think mini goals or micro goals, if however way you want to call them, are very important. They're very, very, very important. You don't want to go overboard. And again, doing this process, you get better and better at it every time. So step 2 is you want to measure goal progress. So here's what I mean. Goals need to be measurable and quantitative. Okay, so just so that you can monitor their progress, you got to have some kind of measuring thing. So if you establish a measurement criteria for your business goals, like ranking system or an actual measure such as a weight or something like that, but mostly like a ranking system of how important the goal is. and how, how are you going with, if you're not going in circles and circles and circles. If you set some sort of a ranking system at the start of the goal setting process, you now have a clear comparison to measure where you are in progress towards your goal. Again, goals need to be measurable. So how are you measuring it? Does your current measurement indicate that you are on track or ahead or behind? See, if you're not on track or are behind schedule, you got to identify problem areas and create a solution to fix them. This is the time to fix them. This is why you don't want to wait until the end of the year to say, oh, how did I go with my goals? You want to do this mid-year. All right, so you have time to adjust, okay? So step 3, you want to set up a method of effectively tracking organizational goals. Now, this is a little bit for larger companies, but if you can have, an organization, right? So let's say you have, let's just put my business for a second. I have certain services that I create. There was a development arm because, as you guys know, I consider myself a technology company that understands the art and science of marketing. That being said, I have a technology side to my business where we create custom applications. We create custom websites that are, highly technical, not just templates. We don't do that. We do, high-end websites. Then I have a mobile app arm. So that's kind of on the development side. Then I have a marketing arm where I have where it's one strategy is different than the other. So I can separate it out where I have, basically lead generation. And then I have link building. And then I'm link building / branding. So those are separate issues. So technically, as I grow up as a business, I can have an organization per vertical per section that I work totally run by itself and have like department heads. So that's how you have to think about it. You have to think about it. And so sometimes people say, well, Frank, this is for big businesses. No. This is for you, the small business. You to take a bite out of the bigger business. You have to think like the bigger business. You just have to. That's just the way it works. So you want to set up a method of effectively tracking organizational goals. So basically, if you're finding that your company is off track from your goal progress, you got to create a plan. To regularly track and review where you are at so that you can fix issues as they arise. See, there are several ways that you can approach this, okay? So the first way that you can do it is you want to set a regular scheduled meeting to review the goals. So like say in my case, my development guys, let's say I'll give you an example. I set a goal and I achieved it already. So thank God. I set a goal to launch a podcast actually last year. I set 2 goals and I achieved both of them. I set 2 goals that were different in terms of adding services, put it that way. One of them was to launch a podcast, and voila, I launched a podcast this year. The other one was to create an in-house tool that helps people, with automation. And we did that. We created this chat tool. It helps people with automation. See, so these are goals that I set last November, and we rolled it out. Like the podcast we rolled, it was just me creating it, so that was an easy goal to hit. So I rolled this out in February. The chat we just finished rolling out mid-April, mid to late April, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, you want to set a regularly scheduled meeting to review goals at this point. So if I didn't, let's say COVID happened in December, and I had to get rid of my my developer or whatever, and we didn't get a chance to really hit the goal of hitting the chat for whatever reason. So I would have had a meeting with him to see, hey, where are we with this, and then I could determine whether I want to continue or maybe after COVID go back in. But none of that happened. But I'm just giving you an example. So you want to remind yourself of goals by reviewing them at a specific time each day. See, that's very important. So for me, what I do with me, and it's a habitual thing, is I go over my goals every my mini goals. Okay, so I set aside mini goals per week, and I have a mastermind group, and I have a accountability buddy, and we meet every Monday, and so those are mini goals that I have for that week that all accumulate into the master goal. So all the mini tasks that I have to do are always there, and I do this review every day. Every single day, I go over, okay, I said this week I was going to do X, Y, Z. Where am I with that? Well, so it becomes a habit. So another thing you want to do is you want to break each company goal or each department goal, if you will, development or whatever, into actionable steps, which is what I just described or what I do on a regular basis on a small task. See, if you do stuff like that on small stuff, you're going to eventually, it all climbs up into the big stuff. Another thing you want to do is you want to find a measurable aspect of your goal and assign your measurable aspect a number. So as long as you know this number, you always know your progress. So what I'm talking about here is you want to say, you want to assign a measurable number of importance. Okay. 1 to 10. If it's a 1, it's not that important. If it's a 10, it's highly important. You want to track each goal by the amount of time spent on it. Okay, that's very important. You need to identify areas where you consistently stall or spend more time than you initially allotted. So you want to track stuff like that. This is going to help you better set goals in the future. So you want to track. So if you say, this is going to take me, and I do this all the time. I think every entrepreneur does this. Oh, I should be done with that in 10 minutes. 2 hours later, you're still working on the same thing. So this is, by tracking all of these things, you're going to improve in this goal setting process. So you got to remember, guys, no matter what type of goals that you set, you got to track their progress. I don't care how small it is. I don't care how big it is. You want to track their progress. See, this is going to let you know if your efforts move you closer to your goal or not. Then you want to adjust the plan until that you found the right way to do things. And eventually you're going to achieve your goal. So that's key. So step 3, you got to remember, you want to set up a method to effectively track organizational goals. So this is the method that I'm talking about. Okay, you want to set regularly scheduled meetings to review goals with your team, with your mastermind group, whatever. You want to remind yourself of your goals. You want to break each of the goals into actionable steps. Like I said, I break them down into weekly steps. This is what I'm going to do this week. You want to find a measurable aspect of the goal. Give it a number. How important is it? What's the importance? You want to track your goal by the amount of time that you spend on it. Okay. And you got, no matter what type of goal, you want to track the progress. You always want to track progress, even if it's just on a daily basis. Create that habit, guys, and you're gonna rock and roll. Okay. So step 4 of this mid-year review plan, you want to review your action plan, basically. So, think about it. Are you achieving the deadlines on your action items? So you set, you set all these plans last year for this year. So review your action plan. What was your action plan? Did you set an action plan to begin with? Did you do that? So are you achieving the deadlines on your action items? If not, ask yourself why. See, deadlines exist for a reason, okay? Were your deadlines unreasonable? Or did it process, or did was it over budget? Did you not have the right staff or resources to adequately support the deadlines? Things like that. Like a lot of the things that I set last year was with me wanting to get an operations manager in there. And because of COVID, I had to take back some of the things that I wanted to do in my goals. So as I do my mid-year review, I got to look at my plan. I said, okay, so I wanted to do these other things. I mean, the technical stuff was done. Like I said, this podcast and the chat feature that I did. But there were some of those things that were not done. And I'm reviewing my action plan as we speak. I'm doing step 4 right now as we speak with my team. So I want to see, okay, this other goal that I have set, where are we with it? How can I get re-engaged with that plan? Or should I dump it and think about it next year? But I'm not a dump it and think about it later guy. I'm a, hey, let's knock it out the park now guy, But anyway, that's step 4. Step 5, you want to review resources. So is the level of resources, and when I mean resources, I'm talking about money, time, information, and support, right? Is that adequate? Is the level of resourcing adequate? Is there a lack of resources holding you back from achieving your goal? You want to take this step. You want to review this, okay? This is mid-year, guys. You set a goal last year, at the end of last year for this year. Now we're in the middle of 2020. This is your review. Understand this, okay? Number 6, you want to praise progress. Remember, this is something I learned in my my journey of being an entrepreneur. You want to reward yourself for achieving many goals and milestones to keep you motivated, okay? You want to do that. It's not always, oh my God, I failed at this, failed at that. No. Reward yourself for the stuff that you did achieve. Like for instance, I did my chat feature. And it's an automated chat feature. The clients that have taken advantage of it thus far love it. They're like, man, Frank, this is awesome. It's automated. I did this podcast. I'm so excited that I finally got my podcast. It feels good to do it. So I reward myself. So review the goals with your team, if you have a team, or your mastermind team. You want to communicate progress towards achieving those goals, and praise employees, praise your staff, praise your mastermind team, praise whoever you want to praise for achievements of the goals. Okay? You want to do that. You want to have celebrations, because business is fun. Business is not, oh my God, I failed at this, I suck at this. No, this is not a finger pointing thing. Okay? You want to praise. Now, step 7 is a little odd, because people are going to say, okay, now we're praising. But step 7 is you want to examine failures. Okay? Review with your team. Or whoever, your mastermind team or whatever, the areas where progress has not been met. Okay? So when you examine the failures, you can learn and ensure that you do not repeat the same mistakes, and at the rest of for the rest of the year. Okay, of course, be careful not to damage morale in this process. You don't want to damage internal morale or morale with your team. You don't want to do that. So you also got to remember that failures are a fact of life, but you want to encourage the people that will work with you to learn from the mistakes and improve. You want to make sure that happens at all times. So after you praise, you got to examine the failures, because there are failures. Like, for instance, I missed the boat on my operations person. I wanted to switch up on an operations person and didn't get a chance to do that. Now, should I blame COVID on that? I'm not a blaming guy. I could have pushed it. My priorities got shifted, but I got to move forward. And I got other failures too that, we'll talk about at a later time. But review it, examine why, but don't dwell on it too much. Okay. So this is also the time to determine if you are making the best use of the skills and the talents in your team. Okay. I mean, are you trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and so to speak? Because that I remember, I'll never forget one of the clients that I have, when they were a referral to us. Someone referred them. And the guy who referred me told me, Frank, I don't know if they're going to do it, because they do all of their social media with their admin and blah blah blah. But I know they need to do this because they don't believe in social media. They don't believe in lead generation. They believe in word of mouth and etc. But long story short, they became a client of mine because of this very same thing. I told them, my admin does social media. I said, but are they aware of all the changes that happen all the time? I mean, your admin is she's a millennial and she understands how to use the platform, but is she a marketer? Can she get people to convert? And then they saw the light at the end. They saw what I was saying, and they go, okay. And then they actually hired us to do their social media for them. And now they believe in social media as lead generation, because they were trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. She's an admin. She understands social media, but can she monetize it? She didn't know how to do that. She's not a marketer. So sometimes you want to make changes like that to the team and assign projects and assign them projects that they're good at. This is going to add a new perspective to your business. Okay, you want to remove roadblocks or something that allow your team members to step into roles where they can succeed. And she flourished a lot better and was because of the less pressure put on her on social media. She was able to then flourish on what she was very good at. It was good, making schedules, doing meetings, etc., etc. She was a great admin. She just wasn't a great social media marketer, which is not. It wasn't her bag. It wasn't her wheelhouse, if you will. So, step 8, last but not least, you want to update goals. This is the time to update goals. You want to determine if the goals that you set for the organization are still attainable. You want to say, okay, we're 6 months in. Are these things still attainable? You want to do that. Did you set the goals too high? Or are you lacking key pieces that need to reach the goal? For instance, with my operations person, I had certain expectations for him or her to do this year. And some of those goals can't be met without that person, So this is the time that you want to update these goals. And I have to make a decision whether I want to continue going with that plan or scrap it and do it next year. But I'm not a scrap it and do it next year type of guy. I know I'm going to come up with the decision to go forward and just push forward, power through it. So the next several months, you should have enough time to identify if you have made progress on goals, or if you need to modify or abandon goals so you can, achieve other milestones. So this is what you want to do the next several months. So take July, or in August. Well, this quarter. This quarter, July, August, and September. To see where we are. Okay. So the goals that may have made sense at the beginning of the year or the end of last year for this year may not be as important or even relevant anymore now. Like, what has COVID changed? And I'm talking about COVID now, but let's take COVID out of the equation, because this is an odd situation. You got to assess if the goals that you met back then are still viable now. Are they still important to you? You want to do that, irrespective of a pandemic or not. This is what you want to do. See, after you assess your progress, update your goals, and have gotten off track or add goals to replace them, then you are most likely to be completed properly, because now you've adjusted, you've rinsed and repeat. Okay, I'm looking at this differently now, because of, let's say for this year, because of the pandemic, here are my new goals. Totally cool to do it, but make sure that they're attainable. Don't make the same mistake that you did the first 6 months. Make sure that they're attainable. Okay, so let's recap. Let's review these 8 wonderful steps one more time before we bid farewell to this episode and I let you go for this weekend. So step number 1, you want to review goals. Step number 2, you want to measure your goal progress thus far. Step 3, you want to set up a method to effectively track organizational goals. This is a key step. If you remember, I spent a lot of time on that. Go back and go over that process. Step number 4, you want to review your action plan. Step number 5, you want to review resources. Step number 6, you want to praise progress. Woohoo! These are the things that I did achieve the first 6 months. Awesome. Or if you didn't achieve them, let's say there were a long-term goal that you had, and it was going to be, for the end of the year. You definitely on track for it. You're not skipping a beat. You want to praise that too, even if you didn't finish it yet, but it's going to happen. Number 3, you want to examine failures too. You want to make sure, why did it fail, and fix that issue. And step 8, you want to update your goals. Let's update it. Let's rethink this and see what is going on. So with that, folks, I think we can bid farewell to this episode. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that, as always, if there are any topics you want us to discuss, feel free to reach out to us. You can give us a call at 888-416-7752, or go to our website, www.lbmsllc.com/contact us, and we'll be happy to listen to your requests of any topic, and we will put that on the schedule. Again, this is for you guys. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, follow that same process. Give us a call, 888-416-7752. and just say, hey, I'd love to be a guest on the show. And, we'll walk you through that process as well. Anywho, we are this is July 3rd. Tomorrow is Independence Day of this great country of ours here in the US of A. I don't know what you guys have planned. I hope you guys have planned something fun. It's been a rough year so far. So let's get out. Let's have some fun. Let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate the victories that we've had. Even celebrate your goals for the 4th of July. Have a nice little cookout with your family or whatever, and your friends, etc., etc. Even maybe have some team building exercise with your team. That's a good thing to do always. But with that, I am going to bid farewell to this episode. Have a great weekend. See you guys next week. Take care and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with, and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.